Hello, everyone. This is a psychic reading for November 2023. So, where I'm at right now, what I've been noticing energetically is just this fear energy in the air. And this is really just coming from the world at large. Um, Actually, last month, I was talking about how there's, all these changing powerful energies at play, and that was the case. But now it's October 30th right now, so it's the end of the month that I'm referring to. But those energies have kind of played out, and after a lot of change, there can be a lot of chaos because change is a little chaotic. So right now there's just so much change going on, and there's a lot of fear in the world. And so you might be feeling it. I also made a meditation video because I was just noticing how intense these energies are. So if you're feeling that too, you may, take some time to meditate and just ground yourself and whatnot so that you can kind of get through it. What I was picking up on for where this fear energy is coming from in the world, what came to me was South Africa, and I looked up news for Africa, and there was something about some sort of um, suicide bomb, I think it was, with cars. I could be wrong, but I think it was some sort of explosion with cars that killed some people. And just yesterday, there was some news about a bunch of people being trampled. And I think it was Thailand. I could be wrong. Either way, there's lots of weird stuff going on, and there's just this fear energy that I've just been feeling in my body, and that's just kind of the chaos energy, and there's a little bit more of that to come at the beginning of November, which is what this video is about, the month of November. I also got that there's a lot of this chaos energy, not just in South Africa, but also just around the whole world, especially in the more poor countries. Um, and I think that is most likely due to the economies because well, I live in the United States. We're not really feeling the effects so much of the shifts taking place in the economy because we have things mostly made for us. But, and I talked about this before, how there's going to be this shift in the economy, and now we're starting to see this play out where it's it's a change. It's also a meltdown. I see it ending well, but in the process, it can be very destructive. And so there are a lot of people barely getting by, especially in more poor countries, that you're not hearing about on the news because nobody talks about these places because they're poor and they're non eventful. So it's not something that people talk about. Actually, the amount of people who starve every day to death is crazy, but you just don't hear it in the news because it's normal and it happens all the time. So it's not news. So, anyways, that's going on and it's getting worse, and that's part of this energy that you might be feeling, and things are ramping up. Things are starting to get worse. And sometimes, even though there was some really positive energy last month, what I've noticed is a lot of the times when there's some really higher vibrational energy that comes through to the planet, what happens immediately following that, maybe not immediately, but shortly following that, is absolute utter chaos. And it's because any sort of update, let's say, I don't know, a good example is you update your computer you update it. Sometimes when you update too many programs, you might like lose your passwords, or things get kind of confusing. Things just get a little chaotic sometimes. And same thing happens when you update your energy frequency. Things that used to be compatible are no longer compatible, and you have to reroute and figure out a new way. And some people, a lot of people actually are leaving the planet, dying. Um, and this is something I've said going back like 6 months or something, where I've been saying that there are more people dying and more people dying because there's this change, and it's not because they're not able to transition necessarily. That's also just because their spirit is wanting to do things more in the astral realm. They're not as helpful in body necessarily as they could be in the astral realm. So some people are actually going on missions, etc. So just because somebody dies doesn't mean they're weak. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, moving on. On the October 26th, that was like, I don't know, 4 days ago from now, on my Patreon, I actually posted how there were beings not from Earth who were sending energy to Earth, like giving the Earth a healing, and obviously all of humanity and everything on Earth. And since that ended, and it felt like such a great day, and it was like amazing, and the sun was out, and I think sometimes, a lot of the times, the weather actually reflects the energy of the people on the planet at that time. Not always, but that is one factor, at least, of the weather. But anyways, it felt so great, and then like as soon as that stopped, it felt really bad. The last couple days have felt really rough to get through energetically. So for the month of November, the stock market and crypto, I'm seeing them mostly like flatline for the first half of the month. There could be some gains here and there, or whatever. But ultimately, what I'm seeing is the last quarter of November 2023, it looks like it just tanks. So it does not look like a good month to be holding crypto or general stock market stocks at the very end of the month. Although it does look like the beginning of next month, December, looks like a good time to potentially buy some of those things if you're looking for a good price on such things. Moving on to Putin. I saw him with his head down and not enthused, not enthusiastic. And I got the sense that he was quietly playing a waiting game. Just kind of waiting things out. When I tuned into Biden, it was like he was very loud and active, and so I think November he's going to be in the spotlight. He's going to be talking a lot. I got the sense that he was feeling very confident, especially at the beginning of the month. Towards the end of the month, maybe not so much, but the beginning of the month definitely very confident. A good start to the month for Joe Biden. I got the sense that there's some sort of announcement about saving energy or some sort of policy, and I see him kind of gritting his teeth a little bit about this. Like it's not really the best thing to be saying, but he's able to present it in a way that is palatable to the public, and so it actually comes off looking good for him, despite it being kind of negative news. And I was getting that there may be economic sacrifices being made, being discussed. Specifically, the words that I heard was cut costs. So we're going to cut costs, whatever that means. That's how it was coming across. And it seems to be not a dire situation yet, but it is a dire situation, but it's not recognized as a dire situation until next month in December, although we might start catching on to that a little bit towards the end of November, but really that's more like December where the dire gravity of the situation starts to sink in. So when I tune into Donald Trump, um, actually, I wasn't tuning into Donald Trump. I was just tuning into Joe Biden, but what came up was Donald Trump. And something about him getting attention for attacking Joe Biden and um, the word recession being thrown around. So, overall, the energy of November is chaos, which I kind of already mentioned. Depression can definitely be a thing here. It seems to be about getting through the web of the BS and that being actually a positive thing because you're getting through it, but getting through it can be chaos. And there's a sense of there being a hole that we've all kind of dug ourselves into, and on an individualistic level, we're all starting to become more aware. Our awareness of the fact that we've dug ourselves into a hole our entire lives, that's coming to light in November. So it's really a month about kind of coming to terms with things and really seeing kind of where you've put yourself, where you've kind of compromised your truth for circumstances, I guess you could say. That's really mostly the first half of the month, though. The second half of the month, I was getting solitude is really necessary. It's kind of like the chaos of all that is the first half of the month, and then the second half of the month, it's like the chaos kind of settles down, but you're still processing it. You may have some more clarity on just reality and yourself and your history, your past, how you've gotten where you are, and how you want to change. And so solitude is necessary in the second half of the month for having a clear head and being able to process this information and being able to contemplate. So I was really getting that it's a good idea to schedule some time to be alone and be able to contemplate on these matters. So the month as a whole is good for, when I asked what is November 2022, sorry, good for, um, I think I might have said, I just realized I wrote 2023 up here because I've been doing so many predictions for next year. I might have said 2023 when I meant 2022. Anyways, what is November 2022 good for? Spiritual rituals. It's a good month for doing those. Being independent, also a good month for that. Stating your intentions out loud, whether that be to yourself or others, preferably to others and yourself at the same time. But really stating your intentions seems important here. Again, kind of the chaotic, confused energy, something about being able to state your intentions just kind of clears things up, makes things more clear. And it also kind of helps, well, set your intentions. Because you're stating your intentions, so you're setting your intentions, and it just kind of helps things line up. Another thing good for this month is heartfelt warmth, and what I meant by that is just the warmth of your heart, not literally, but you know what I mean. Because it seems like that's really coming through, especially with these realizations about the past and where we really are presently, and just kind of finding what really matters and yeah, being alone, and there's a lot of this death energy actually. And I don't mean death necessarily like people dying. I mean death more in the sense of like endings. And it's funny because I'm recording this the day before Halloween, but it seems like November is just kind of all about that energy. And so, with that energy of endings comes the realization of what really matters to you. And so, that usually is from the heart. And so, really tuning into the warmth of the heart was coming up for me for November. Also, what came up was writing, because I guess that makes sense because it can be therapeutic. But regardless, for whatever reason, that's what came up. So, what is the month bad for? I almost dismissed this, but the first thing that came up on my mind was the word demonizing. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? Does that mean like at first it was like demonizing, like, and in this context of like working with demons, and I thought, I was like, that's like, do I really want to include that? But then it also came across as demonizing others as well, and then I kind of got the sense that it was actually both of those together. So demonizing, working with demonic forces, you could say, demonic things, I guess you could say, or demonizing others, which you could say those kind of go hand in hand, depending on how you look at it. And so when I was tuning into this and asking why is this showing up, the answer I got was that it's easy to lose sight, and these types of behaviors and forces can really take advantage of someone who doesn't have a clear direction. Another bad thing for November is materialism, kind of for the same sort of reason that I just explained, I think. Um, as well as egoic power games. Now that I think about it, those all kind of seem very related and similar to each other. So if I was to summarize November, what I would say is it's a month about spiritual development, in the sense of last month was about the energies and the frequencies and kind of allowing that to come in. This month is more about letting it settle in and being able to let it settle and start to add up and make sense, and um, clearing out the excess so that you are able to really experience the things that are important to you and that actually matter. Also, coming to terms with who you really are, that's a big deal for this month, and self-realization is included in that. Spending time alone is part of that, and it's kind of the energy of being in a isolation tank where you're just completely uninterrupted and you're able to have all these realizations that you wouldn't otherwise be able to contemplate. And this is all about just cleansing the outdated information. This is creating new awareness, creating big opportunities in life for big changes during this month. It's like the perfect energies for these kind of like breakthrough realizations. I don't know if realizations is the correct, maybe self-realization. That's more what I'm trying to say. So the advice for November 2022: take your time, let things settle down, and even let things burn out. And sometimes stillness is your best friend. So take some time to find stillness in your life, in your mind, maybe silence as well. And there's something very zen about that. And that's how people meditate, that's how people reach enlightenment. Not the only way, but that's one method. So that's what this month is about. If you watch this video, give this video a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. You can always leave a comment below as well. If you would like to check out my Patreon page, $5 to join, $5 a month. Unless you want the crypto and stock market predictions, then it's $10 a month for that. Either way, that's a great way to support my work if you would like to do that. You can also reach out for readings as well at my website, which I will post all this information below this video in the description. Thank you for watching and have a great day.